What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a good little bit since we've had an updated inventory video around the shop, and folks are always asking of what we've got for sale, and what's happened to old vehicles we've done in the past. So this video is going to be just that. Me and Dad are going to walk around the lot, kind of show you guys what we have, kind of what's happened to some stuff, future plans of other things, and all that good stuff. So let's get to it. Now we've got a pretty good collection of old cars, especially for a small town like Bogata. It's only 1,100 people, so most of the time if you're coming through this town, the vehicles is what grabs a lot of attention. We're right here on Highway 271, and most of our inventory is lined up along that way. So we're just going to jump into this. Bear with us. It might take a little bit of time. We'll kind of tell you guys what we got, what little backstory we know on it, and just go from there. I guess we'll go ahead and start with this one right here. This is a 1960 Honda N600, which basically would have been the beginning of the Honda Civic. And I know it looks nothing like a Honda Civic right now because it's actually sitting on I believe a 1951 Willys Jeep frame. So we did a video on this car, I guess you want to call it, at the very beginning of our restored channel. And you remember much about it?
Yeah, I remember we went and met the guy there in Greenville at the Walmart parking lot. And I mean, it was catching a lot of attention there. Everybody wanted to get pictures with it.
It didn't have these big wheels and tires or big tires on it. It didn't have the logos. We bought it sight unseen, which is not uncommon for us. And the Jeep had just this little flathead 4-cylinder in it. And we actually drove it on the trailer. It cranked right up, and we had to do a few little things, I think, from the best of my memory, clean the fuel tank, maybe something with the hydraulic system on either the clutch or the brakes.
Added the logos.
Yeah, we went with Willie Wanda and the chopped up factory. That was the best theme we could come up with, seeing how it's the Willys with the Honda, and it made up Willie Wanda because this thing's definitely chopped up too. Our old tires are just dry rotted over time. Bought them off of Marketplace used anyways, and they were they were pretty shot when we got it.
Yep.
But manual transmission, manual steering, little heater. This thing should crank right back up. I mean, it's been setting for, man, it's probably been setting a couple years now, but we kind of worked most of the kinks out of it, and it was drivable. In my opinion, I would like to turn loose of this if anyone's interested. We're going to put our email on this video at some point in time. Reach out to us on email and let us know you're interested, and maybe we could work a deal on it. This one right here,
this is one of my favorites.
if you want me to tell you what year, what make it is, your guess is going to be as good as mine. So, Dad really loves this thing. I found it on Marketplace as well. It was super cheap, and you guys know we love anything that's weird and out of the ordinary. So, bought it sight unseen as well. It was supposed to have run, but we never messed with it.
I always liked it because they basically just used the truck, but they just rearranged everything in that. And I always called it Hiccup. That's what it reminds me of, is when a truck hiccup and it all come back together. That's what it was.
I'm gonna say 58, 59 Apache front fenders here. Probably the same, but these are the rear fenders for the front fenders. Front fenders for the hood. That's going to be about the same, you know, cab. Steps on the... Yeah. Everything's backwards on this. Mm-hmm. Little old short bed with a fake little tow rig set up here. Now that bed is going to be I'm not exactly sure on that. You know, it's as flat here, so it is going to be the 55 up, I guess. Never have messed with getting this running. We thought it'd be kind of cool to do maybe a live revival on it. I can't remember. I want to say this is like an Oldsmobile V8. They said it ran, but I think it's locked up, which is right up our alley, it seems. But
of course, it's got the aftermarket AC.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Check this out. Basically, you just put some ice or something up in there, and then the air blows through it, and then kind of blows in at you.
The water drips out down through here.
Yeah. We've got an X-frame in here, automatic transmission. It'd be neat. It'd definitely be a cool little parade vehicle or something. I don't think I'd want to drive it much more than that.
No.
But it is neat, and a lot of people like it. But I want all of y'all to know, we didn't build it. This right here is among the top of some of my favorites. 59 Cadillac, 4-door. I kind of wish it was the 2-door, but pretty cool stinking car. These 59s just had the huge fins back here on the back. I mean, that's what these Cadillacs were known for. Inside here, I don't know how well you guys can see, but the interior is actually not too bad. The guy that we bought it off of said the interior had been redone, I don't know, I can't remember, 10 years ago when we got it, and we've had it probably not that long.
Not too long.
Maybe 7 years.
Yeah. It was kind of weird too, because we were over filming something else, and this guy just pulls up there and just says, hey.
Yeah, I think we were unloading an old vehicle, and a guy said, hey, do you want to buy a Cadillac? We were just right across the street there, and I was like, probably not. And I said, but what year is it? You know, I was assuming maybe a 70s, 80s, something that we just wouldn't want. And he's like, I got a 59 Cadillac. I don't even know if he had pictures of it at the time. I gave him my number. He sent us some pictures, and we sent a tow truck up after it and brought it back. The more I'm realizing, we sure buy a lot of stuff sight unseen.
Yeah,
we got it down here. And we knew it had a motor and transmission in it. Wow, look. We still got some carb cleaner and gas. Almost full can.
And some tools.
Yeah. We knew it had a motor and transmission in it, but didn't know any kind of the condition. A lot of wiring had got burned on it though. But we did get this car up and running.
Yep.
It definitely needed a tune-up or something, but it did a pretty sweet little burnout by the end of that video. So most of these cars we've done videos on, but you're going to see some stuff you've never seen before at all. And there's also going to be some cars we're going to have to try to hide from you guys because they're in the works at the moment. This right here is a pretty rare stinking car. This is a 1986 Ford Escort. And most people are probably saying there's nothing really rare about that car. But this has a factory diesel in it. Two-door car, factory diesel, and it's locked.
Low mileage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to show them. Is that door locked too? Yeah.
Yep.
So super low mileage. I think it was around like 30,000, 40,000 miles on it. You can't see through these windows probably with this GoPro. There's rat turds everywhere. This was a Hudson farm find that was in a barn. I don't even think we ever showed it while we were out there. But they parked it with low miles. I don't think it would take much to get it up and going. I knew this was open because it comes open every once in a while. They had new tires they were going to put on it. It does have the tow hitch. But 92 was the last year on the plate there. So 86, 92, what, 6 years?
Yep.
It had been on the road. Body's in great shape. I mean, it would clean up super good. Like, no major dings, I mean, no major dents, just little pings here and there. This car's definitely for sale. I do know that they're hard to come by, so the money's a little bit higher on it, but if someone wanted to buy it in this condition versus us getting it up and running and cleaned up, you could definitely get it a little cheaper. Moving on on to the next item of business. Not real sure if we'll show this part in the video because this is a super cool truck that we're in the process of doing a video on. So you guys may not even see this. This may be a blurred blob for you right now. This is a Willys Jeep FJ3. Do we even want to show this one? We'll show it. It's in the process of being a video made on it. This is going to be a 1963 Jeep Willys FJ3 Fleet van. So this was an old postal truck back in the day, and really rare truck. We're in the process of making a video on this one. Found it on Marketplace once again. Had Sean Cross come and pick it up for us. And we're going to try to, I don't want to give away too many details on it, but you're going to be seeing a video on this truck that's just going to be super cool. I can't remember how many they made of these, but it was very minimal. And from what we gathered, they were supposed to be crushed or destroyed since they were something used by the Postal Service. But a few of them survived, and you'll see we actually have a few of them around the shop. But right-hand drive, these are set up on like a CJ, I want to say CJ2A frame or something. This one has a 4-cylinder, the little Hurricane engine in it. Don't know if it's locked up. It appears to be all complete. But other than that, we don't know a whole lot of information on it.
I like the design. It's really just a flat front, but it kind of has like a street car or trolley car type look.
That's what they remind me of. It's like like a trolley car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're small, very small. Back here, just got a little fold-up door, I think. And on a lot of these, they had just like their, might even be able to see back behind there, but like something with the Postal Service, like a bulletin, you know, something that they were kind of advertising with there. But you can tell it was used for something after it was a postal truck. And me and Dad have a strong attachment to this old girl right here. It's a 1953 GMC short school bus. And you remember getting that, I guess.
Yeah. This was kind of the start. It took us 2 years to finally get the guy to even let us come and look at it.
This vehicle was the start of maybe a strange addiction of buying and selling old vehicles. I believe Dad found this one on Craigslist, back when Craigslist was the thing to use up in Maybank, wasn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We went out there and the guy showed us the vehicle and showed us around everything else. We thought we were going to be able to buy it, and he decided he wasn't interested in selling it. So yeah, it took us a while working on him to get this thing where he'd be willing to sell it. And now we've got it here. Man, this is a short one. 2 windows. 2 windows in your back window. And check out that wheel well. Just got a beautiful teardrop, you know, wheel well on it there. He had goats and chickens living in it.
I'm not sure, but I think there's still an egg or 2 up in there.
Yeah, there used to be an egg up on this ledge in here. Let me see. Oh, it's still there. It's still there.
Still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
ooh,
wow.
Gross.
Yeah.
So that egg has been there years. It's a mess in here. We had somebody before we were even working on cars, really. We were doing more of the paint and body side of things, you know, insurance work. We had somebody to try to do air ride on it, but we're gonna go ahead and change that all out, go with a different frame up underneath it. I believe he'd used an S10 front clip and 4-link on the back, but this has really been a back burner project because we want it done right, and we're gonna have to basically start over on it, but take the body off, get a new frame up underneath it. Already got the motor transmission for it. This is going to be a cool rig. Keep the patina, some kind of cool school logo down the side. Yeah, I can't believe that egg's still there.
I know, yeah.
It was missing the door. All these buses we buy are missing the doors, so this one's very square, and we've had a hard time trying to find that. But cab overs are a pretty popular thing right now. This one is a 1951 Chevy cab over. Bought this from a guy up in Missouri, and he brought it down. They've put the, like basically just a regular truck bed on it, but it is on a dually frame. Pretty good start to a project. They've got the floor of the bed built. Inside here, we've got our doghouse. We do have the cover. The truck steers. I think it basically just needs a just a motor put in it. They had the power booster mounted up here, which now I'm seeing it has no kind of brake set up. I mean, as far as lines and stuff, but we do have the start. I'm assuming the pedal assembly's in there, but you know, brake lines, all that stuff will have to be ran. Always thought it'd be cool to drop a 12 valve Cummins in it, but every time we get a 12 valve, it ends up going in something else, and this one's just kind of set here. But pretty solid, very solid bones on it.
This one probably be a little bit harder to get off of it, so.
Yeah, so it kind of skipped. The bus was not for sale. This would be for sale. It's going to be a little higher. As Dad mentioned, we're kind of, it's a great start to a project. You know, if you're trying to round up all these parts, you'd be surprised how much you'd have to spend just to get there. This right here is a 1972 Cadillac hearse, and her name is Sadie. When we bought this probably back in, oh my goodness, we probably bought this back around, man, 2008, 2009 maybe. I mean, it was the beginning of our business, if not before then. The old hippie guy we got it off of just kept telling us, she ain't dead yet, she ain't dead yet. And so that's how Sadie come about. She ain't dead yet, and she's definitely not. But we got a 472 big block in it, dual 3-inch exhaust with Flowmasters. This thing sounds like a flat out race car, and it's completely stock. Pretty sure I've got it locked up. We had ended up buying us an old coffin to put inside there, which the guy at the time that we bought it from the funeral home here in Bogota, and he gave us a pretty good deal on it, and I don't know if it'll ever be used, but we've got a coffin in there. We've had a lot of fun riding around in this car. It definitely grabs a lot of attention. Some people love it, some people hate it, and some people are just scared to death of it.
One Halloween, we drove it through the Walmart parking lot, and it rumbled, that exhaust rumbled so much, it was setting off the alarms on cars that was going by, and that it was just
it sounds
crazy.
Sweet. This right here is an old 1975 Volkswagen minibus. Someone has cut a full door out of the length of this thing. We did a video on this old bus, getting it up and going. It originally come out of Mexico. I think that's where they did this transformation to it. Some artist around Houston did the paintwork on it, but we had someone deliver it to us. They found it in Houston, and they brought it down to us. We got it up and going fairly easy. It's just got a little old, probably around a 1500 or so, air-cooled engine in it. So that's a different engine than this would have come with originally. But it's a pretty cool little old bus, and it'll actually do a pretty decent wheelie, won't it?
Yeah, it sure will.
Me and Dad had a wheelie competition in it after we got it up and running, and now that that's been in the past, I think I can go ahead and say he beat me on it. But at the time, I was going to sure put up a good argument that he didn't. But you have someone sitting back here and you dump that clutch, rev it up pretty good, it'll raise them front wheels up off the ground, and the back bumper will drag.
Interior's pretty good shape.
Yeah, I think it's locked.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of same hippie style inside there, wraparound bench seat in the back. Starting to get a little rust. A lot of rust issue there though. This right here, one of my favorite step vans that we own and will ever own. 1956 Dodge postal van. I've been talking about rare postal vans already, and this one right here is going to be the rarest of the rare. Well, maybe not. Yeah. We actually have one down at the other place that's pretty stinking rare too. But this one here, straight out of, looks like it should belong on that, on what's the show?
Cars.
Cars, yeah.
Cartoon.
The cartoon Cars. We actually used to have some eyeballs up in here, and it looked just like a character that would have been on there. Cool thing about it, when we bought this, there was a neat story. I really wish we would have been doing a YouTube channel back then. We found it up in Dallas. I had an ad on something, Craigslist, looking to buy step vans. And some guy reached out to me and said, hey, I have this such and such van. Well, I knew they existed, but I had never, you know, seen one in person, never had the opportunity to buy it. And he told me what he had, and I told Dad, this was on a Saturday. I was like, hey, we gotta go. We gotta go to Dallas to pick this thing up. So we rushed straight up there. And you know, it was everything we'd hoped for. Got a story, he had bought it from a woman that was actually living in it, and then he used it for his kids to play in. But we were loading it up, and what happened?
It came unhooked and decided, we were up on a hill, and it decided to come off the trailer and start heading down that hill backwards. And we were all trying to get in there and stop it and get it. It finally kind of went off the alleyway there and into the edge of a fence, luckily, blessedly, or whatever you want. But yeah, it was about to take off and really make a...
If we would have been filming back then, it would have made for a very entertaining watch. I think the tow rope, something happened with it, and it went, and I'm talking about we're on a steep hill. There's a privacy fence there that I just knew it was going to take out, but none of that happened, so...
I remember the guy's wife came out, hollered at him. He had to holler at her, tell her to get back in the house, mind her own business. So.
And he was trying to act tough, but afterwards he had a pretty good little limp to it. So this looks like it has an awesome patina to it, but when we got it, it didn't. So we painted it to be the postal colors, but it's been so long since we messed with it. It has a perfect patina now. It actually looks like it would have been the original old blue colors. So, but I think these, I think I read something about these were green originally, all of them.
Oh yeah?
I have no clue, but this is gonna pop up on the channel. Will it run? We gotta see this thing run, the old flathead 6-cylinder. I don't really know what it's gonna take to get it up and going, but this will be some future content for sure. Like I said, among the rarest of postal vans out there. We've got an old 1968 Camaro. Bought this car when I would say the Camaro market was kind of up there. I've had this car for, man, years. Bought it pretty much the way it sits here. It's full air ride. There's just a lot of things that they've done to the car that I really don't like the way it was done. They've got a huge transmission tunnel inside here. I'd want to change that. There's a lot of sheet metal work that's just, it's just not done the way I would like to see it done. So then the market dropped, and Camaros weren't worth anything, and now it's a pretty good market. So I do love the car, but I feel like as for what I'd want to do, I'd probably be better just to find a new one to start with and kind of go with the air ride and do it from there. So this one's probably for sale. If any of you guys are interested, just email us in the link somewhere in this video. You guys have seen a few of these little BMW Isettas on the channel. This one here we bought with a lot of, oh man, I think we bought 5 of them from the guy at one time. And this one I would say was probably the better shape of any of them. Unfortunately though, it's missing an engine, so, but body's pretty good shape on it. Inside is very simple. As most of you know, the doors on these, pretty cool little design. It just opens up and the steering wheel moves out with it and you get in it. So almost all of them have a hole in the top of it, and I guess that's just, if you're in a crash, you need a way to get out. So out the roof you go. But these things have a little bitty small engine in them. I think it'd be cool to just go ahead and get, I mean, heck, you could get one of those Predator engines from Harbor Freight, pop it on there, and make a pretty cool little get-around toy. Across the road here, we've got some more stuff. This is going to be more of our bigger items, like our step vans, the school buses, a couple cab overs there. You're going to see a lot of old Metro vans. This is a 1948 International Metro van, and it's going to be the shortest wheelbase. So this thing's pretty short. Pretty hard to find the shorties, especially in the early models. They've got the taller, skinnier grille on them, which in my opinion looks way better. But I think we've owned a couple short ones, but this one's been in the better shape of all of them. Got a pretty neat patina, just a lot of this old paint just needs to be kind of washed off. I think it'd have a cool look. Inside here, we've got old flathead 6-cylinder.
Yep.
Should run. I mean, it looks like it's all there. Starter's going. But
You can always push start it.
yeah.
Pull start it.
Yeah, keys are in there.
Yeah.
Like I said, you'll see that we really like Metros, and people ask, well, how do you find them? And it just seemed like they kind of just started finding us once we bought a couple of them. People would reach out to us, and you know, if the money was right on them, we'd buy them. And we've sold a lot of them, and we've still got a few of them around here. I would say I'd like to keep a couple of them, and one of them's down at the other shop you'll see later. But to me, I had never seen them growing up at all, and then when we found our first one maybe 10 years ago, I fell in love with them, and we've just been kind of buying them ever since. We just put a video out on this old food truck on our Turn and Rush channel, so if you guys caught that, you kind of got to see the full walk around on it. But if you didn't, this is, I believe, it's a 1951 Chevy cab over that's been sectioned into an old school bus. It's set up on a dually frame. Really cool. It's got all the stove, all the cooking stuff still in there. Just needs to be cleaned up, and we kind of ask you guys what you'd like to see us do with it. A lot of people are leaning to keep it a food truck, and I think that's kind of what we are as well. So this is not for sale by any means. This is something I've wanted for a while, and so being able to have it was a super blessing that God allowed those us to meet up and make that deal happen. So very blessed to have this, and can't wait to do something with it. Would love to serve you guys a burger at one of our Turn and Rush car shows. Another old Metro van, and this old girl is rough. She does have the grill on it still has the front logo on it still. A lot of the times people, you know, swap those off of it. Guess that's a mobile home.
Mobile home door.
Door there.
Carpet all on the inside on the doghouse.
Yeah, people cut windows in the side of them, which really, you know, I hate that, but people use these to live in. I mean, they used them to camp in, live in. There's been a lot of stuff that, you know, when we buy it, you would be surprised you find inside these old things. This is a square back one. Most of them are round back, but this is a square back, missing the back doors. She's rough, but like I said, if you're looking for an old Metro, they can be kind of hard to find at times, and so the money was right on this one. We had actually bought another Metro that was about an hour apart, so we bought this one to kind of make the shipping on it make sense for us. So this one's definitely for sale. Another old Metro here. This one's actually got 2 holes cut in the side of it. A lot of surface rust. It does have some rust through right here. They're notorious for rusting out there. And normally up around this body line here, which this one is actually not too bad. I think they had a generator or something up front here at some point in time. It's got the, I believe this one has an engine and transmission in it. But back there, you can see they had like a little platform for probably a mattress, and they had some curtains that are up in there, and their security system here. Yep. Never have messed with trying to get this one running because most of the time someone's going to buy it, put it on a different drivetrain and all that good stuff. So I think it would run. Most of this old stuff you guys will see, it runs. It just takes a little bit of tinkering. Another old Metro. I think this one's probably needs to be a keeper for us because it's very solid. Normally don't care for the dually ones, but this one being the medium length, I think it's cool. It's got the square back on it as well. We do have the back doors on it. But one reason, another reason other than it being super solid, is I want to chop one of these things pretty bad. And cutting out, you know, on this square back right through here would make things a whole lot easier than trying to tackle a round back. I couldn't even tell you what the inside's like in this. Some extra parts. Got a hole in our roof that's going to cause some problems pretty soon. No, engine with rat's nest. Has a seat.
Got 2 holes in the roof.
Yep. Yep, pretty good shape though, honestly.
Yeah.
This one is. GMC short school bus. And funny story on this, me and Dad tried buying it several times. It was kind of a struggle to buy.
Yeah, we tried to buy it at a higher price than what we finally wound up getting it for.
It kind of popped around in several different towns around us. We'd see it, and you know, some people didn't want to sell it. And some people wanted way too much money on it, but we had made an offer on it at one point in time, and they didn't accept it. And a year or so later, we found it at a different place and bought it for quite a bit cheaper. So, but this one's a pretty short 3-window though. Got 3 windows. I mean, great shape sheet metal wise. This is probably one of the best shaped buses we've got, but it's also the newest, you know, bus we've got. No seats inside there except the driver's seat. Man, look at the room.
Yeah.
You could do anything you want to in here. It'd be so cool. Like a great playhouse.
Yeah.
This one does run. It's got a big old V6, big old 305 V6, I think it was. So I remember working on it. And that was my first time to see like the spark plugs come in, you know, up top there, which was weird to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this one ran, and once again, it's been a few years since we had it cranked, but had to mess with the clutch system on it, and it needs brakes. I know we never tackled that, but
this is the first bus I ever licked the windows on.
Alrighty, here we got a 1950-ish, another Chevy cab over. You remember where we picked this one up at?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Wasn't it around Canton or something?
Yes, yes it was, right before you get to Canton.
It was a little rougher shape than what we had hoped for, but still in great shape. The grill was a little messed up there. I can't really remember as far as rot. We've got a little bit of rust, you know, in the cab corners, which is very common on any of these old trucks. It did have a motor and transmission in it, right?
That's what I was trying to remember. I think it did.
I think so. Once again, most people just want these for a cab. They set it on a different drivetrain. This one had a really short wheelbase, so I don't know if what it was used for. I have no clue. I felt like he said it had a big tank on it, though.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yep.
So another, you know, 47 to 53 cab over if you're in the market looking for one. I think this is a great one to start with, and it's for sale for sure. This right here is, I would say, the cream of the crop of cab overs back in its day. It's a 1941 Ford cab over, and it was an old school wrecker. Still has the winch, still has everything back there. Look at that thing.
Yeah, I'd pull down a building.
And I always said, you know, like, if you needed a tow truck back in the day, or you were the tow truck driver, like this was the truck, you know. This was a truck to have come pick you up out of a problem or whatever. Like, it's sharp. I love this bed on it. It does have a lot of rot down in the cab and everything, and it has an old flathead Ford V8 in there, but I almost guarantee that thing's locked up. I always wanted to do a will it run on this truck, but I was afraid we might have to run once we start on it because it'd be so hard to get it up and going. But man, we got this one on the end just because it looks super cool, and we've had a lot of people want to buy this one, but as of right now, I mean, I'd sell it if the money was right, but once again, another one of them projects that just would like to hang on to a little bit longer if we could. Out back here, some of y'all might recognize this old Mustang. And whenever I say Mustang, I'm talking about, well,
you can't really tell.
We put floorboards in it. Like, it literally has floorboards. But yeah, that's why. Floors are just rusted out, terrible. Custom wood grain interior. We bought this car and ended up getting it running where we found it there, and made a trip back home, and we decided we'd take back roads, and we ran into mud, we ran into rain, we ran into everything, but we made it back.
Yes, you did good on the road.
It actually ran pretty stinking good. Had a little 302 in it. And what's bad about this car is, you know, from a distance it looks pretty good, but when you get to looking at it a little closer, she's rough. One of those things that's fine from far, but far from fine, that's for sure. Over here, we've got a little BMW Isetta Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's
you guys know we like the little Isettas, and we've had a few of those. But this one's got a Kawasaki motorcycle sectioned in halfway down the frame. Body-wise, it's not terrible. I don't know if someone would want to keep going that direction with trying to make it like that. It would be cool. It would be really cool, but I'd hate to know I had that much power pushing this little thing down the road, because those stock engines they're a little one-cylinder, I can't even remember.
12 horse, I think.
If that, maybe 12 horsepower motor. They're super small. So having that much motor pushing this car would be pretty stinking scary.
Yeah.
There's an old Palmer's drugstore advertising on it though. And I've noticed a lot of these old Isettas they used for advertising back in the day. We've had a lot that's had the logos on them. But that's that. Up here, we've got another one of the really rare Willys Fleet vans I was talking about. You can still see that it has the old postal colors on it. And that's what I was kind of talking about there. It's kind of got an old envelope.
Yeah. Zip code.
Yeah, sending it to John Doe at 387 Castor Avenue. We bought this in Oklahoma, I believe it was. And the woman we bought it off of had remembered it. She remembered they had it at a drag strip, from the best I can remember. And she sold tickets to the drag strip from this. But she don't ever remember it running. We noticed some parts missing off the engine, so I don't know if it'll ever run again, but wow, I'm looking right here. See, I wonder if this was like pricing, or if that was the time they were on. I don't know what that would be. Right. 6 to 12, I have no idea. But I bet it had something to do with where they were using it at that drag strip.
Yeah.
Missing a lot of the glass in it, but pretty cool old truck. Wasn't definitely going to pass by being able to buy it, because these things are extremely hard to find. Here we've got, I think this thing is a 1974 Volkswagen thing. This thing is literally a thing. And this is going to be the rustiest thing you've probably ever seen in your life.
I started to say it may need some floor pans, or at least some attention paid to it.
I mean, the Mustang's bad, but this right here is terrible. I mean, look at it. It's like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I think Fred Flintstone need to be scared to drive this one.
Yeah. I don't know how the wheels and tires are. He had to put some different tires on it or something. But when you look at it from a distance, once again, I've had some people see it driving by and they're like, hey, you know, I'm interested in the thing. I've been looking for one for a while. You know, do you want to sell it? And I'm like, yeah, it's for sale, but like, you're not going to want it. Like, you have to look at it a little bit closer, because I can tell they're wanting something to, you know, restore back. This right here, in my opinion, would be great to set on like a Jeep frame or something and make a toy out of. But as far as restoring this, it just doesn't make sense to try to recreate, you know, what once was, because it's rusty.
Yeah.
Rolls great, steers great, has a motor still in it.
Yeah. Or if maybe somebody had the bottom half that was usable, but yeah. So
you'll never section into that well. Not very good at all. It would definitely be rigged, that's for sure. This right here, really, really, really cool, and something I do not want to get rid of right now. 1940 Chevy cab over engine. And my favorite cab over that we've got. I found it on the internet and it was up, man, I'm trying to think where it was. Was it in Tennessee?
Tennessee, I believe.
Tennessee. And I had reached out to Josh with the Sleeper Dude YouTube channel and asked if he could, you know, how far away he was. And him and his wife was willing to go pick this truck up for me and hold it for a little bit until we could get another shipper lined up to pick it up. But I want to build this thing. Love the front end, love the cab. I love the bed, the way they've done it. Now there's some things that I will change on it, about the bed, about everything. But as far as this is a great, just bones to start with. Great layout. It's on an S10 frame right now. May change that. I have no idea. I don't know if I want to go with a diesel or go with, you know, lean towards the LS in it or what. But definitely want to try to. You'll see some footage on this in the future. That's for sure. This old car hasn't landed on the channel yet, but it's an 01 Porsche Boxster, which is extremely out of our realm of what we would normally buy. But when you see the video on it, you're going to see why we bought it. The way we found this car was just super cool. I mean, it was incredibly abandoned. And I think it's going to make a really cool video. So not going to give up too much information on this car because that's what the video that's coming out on it's going to do. But if you're into Porsches or if you're into good stories, I definitely think you're going to want to watch that one. And some of you guys might remember this old car. It's a 1953 Chevy Bel Air, and we actually cut this out of the woods. We were cutting it out of the woods with my Uncle Frankie when unfortunately he actually passed away the day we cut this out. So this is his car. He helped us the day before get an old early 1970s Ford truck out, and we went out the next day to pick this up. And unfortunately, about the time we got it out, we heard the news that he had passed away suddenly. So we want to do something with this car really cool in remembrance of him. We haven't touched it though. I don't know what it's like up underneath the hood. It's just kind of been sitting around here, and I guess we've just been kind of waiting on the right time to jump onto it. But I don't know if you have any idea what you'd like to try to see done with it, but
I'd just like to, do something for Frankie.
Yeah. So Frankie was Dad's older brother, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of good memories out there, you know, getting this car out. So I think it'd be really cool to. I'd like to try to resurrect it, you know. Yeah. See if we can get it going, and if not, then make the. Do you remember the story on the car that?
He and it actually belonged to one of his friends that drove it in high school, and they drove it until the transmission went out, and they parked it, jumped in another vehicle they had out there, and drove it till it quit. But yeah, but he was so in love with this vehicle and that That was his main thing. I want to get that out. I want to get it running. I want to drive it. So
yeah. Yeah, so we're probably looking at transmission deals right off the bat, but who knows? Just need to dive into it and see what it takes. But
yep.
These old cars, you can find a lot of parts for them, so.
I think it had the old power glide.
Probably so, yeah. Yep. So that pretty much wraps up the vehicles that we've got on this property right here. We're going to go ahead and make our way on down to the shop that we actually work out of, where we've got quite a bit more vehicles down there, run through them the best we can, and go from there. This right here is a 1965 Ford F100 that we call Lazarus. We've done a couple videos on this truck, and as far as storylines go, man, God was completely in this find and in this Will It Run, getting it up and reviving it completely. So one of my favorite videos we've ever done was on this truck here. It was buried in the ground. This used to be a long bed truck which had a GMC Fleet side bed on it, and since then we've put it on a factory short bed frame. We've got the actual short bed that's supposed to be on this truck. Has dents and dings, but we kind of just plan on going back with like a patina on it. Now up underneath the hood here, I don't think it's mounted down completely, but when we found this truck, hands down, worst rat's nest I've ever seen in my life. I remember it was up here. I mean, yeah. You couldn't see anything at all.
Yeah. The dirt was up here and this was down in the dirt, so.
We started cleaning it all out and hoping that the worst was just on the exterior of the engine. But if you haven't seen that video, be sure to go check it out. It only got worse and worse as we done getting deeper and deeper, but this was the original motor that was in this truck. And she runs pretty good too. So we're gonna go ahead and keep working on this as we go. Now that we've got it on the short frame, we painted everything. We've got new brake lines. We've got all kinds of new parts to go on the underside of the truck. Once again, keep the patina, keep the story with some cool Lazarus logos, and that'd make a good get around shop truck for sure.
Yep.
Here we have a around late 60s, early 70s Chevrolet utility truck. Started buying these trucks because I love the old boxes on them. I always wanted to build a shop truck where we could haul around our tools and stuff. This one was an old plumbing truck, as you see here. It does have a V8 up in it, but I'm assuming it's probably locked up. Been setting for forever, and since it's been sitting here on our property, we got a tree growing in it back here, so we'll have to take care of that before we have to do a cutout on our own property.
Or maybe somebody wants to buy it and do their own cutout.
Yeah. So yeah, this truck's for sale if anyone's interested. I think it'd make a cool little get around rig slammed down on the ground. Got another utility truck over here. This one's a GMC. Was an old phone truck, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bell telephone.
Yep, Southwestern Bell, I guess. So the box is a little bit better condition on this one. Has an inline 6 in it. We did a live Will It Run on this, and we got it running. I don't remember what it took to get it running, but pretty sure we got this one running.
Yeah, we had it running, yep.
But pretty neat truck. I found that old Papa John sign on the side of the road, so it's been on there for several years now. I remember when we found this, we went to buy, it was some other kind of truck we were actually looking at, like maybe like a 60, I think it was a 65 Fleet side C10 short bed, and he had this out there as well, and we made him an offer on it and was able to buy both of them. And a gas pump, I think. I don't remember. We bought several things. Here's a Metro that we want to keep. So this is a pretty rare Metro. So it was a school bus coach. These windows were not cut in it by somebody living in it. These windows were actually made into this bus. As you can tell, it also has a school bus side door here. So a medium length Metro. I don't think they made any of them in the short lengths. I've seen the medium, I've seen the long. This body line I talked about earlier is extremely rusty on this one. Really bad shape. So, you know, we're gonna have to have some metal work on that. But these school bus ones, man, they're hard to find. I don't even know. It's been so long. I don't even know if I've ever had that open.
Yeah, I don't know.
Back here, I know this door does open. Just wanted to show them the inside. We got shag carpet on everything. The walls, ceiling, everything. And rat turds. But you see that one has a sink in it and everything. So probably there, little cabinets up there. Even though this one was made with the windows, somebody was living, staying in it at one time. This was probably their back porch.
I see why it won't open now. It's got that board.
Oh, that steps there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah, as far as Metro goes, maybe this, or this is probably the rarest one we got. And then next would be that early 48 short one. 50s cab over right here. It's obviously had some work done on the hood. We set this cab on a 91 3/4 ton Chevy truck. So it was a running driving truck. It just had an old throttle body system on it. So it's not the greatest engine setup, but it was a long bed single cab truck. And we were going to section in this really cool old aluminum box we've got from the 50s on the back there and make like a little merch wagon or something out of. Obviously we were doing air ride on it, so it would sit plumb on the ground there. But everything's mounted good on that. The box would look excellent. We would probably consider selling this if someone was interested in it and wanted to finish it on out or take it in their own direction, whatever they wanted to do. Good little cab over to start with though. This little Frankenstein contraption started out as the Volkswagen Beetle. And it is, they've narrowed it in for just a little one-seater here. Which had been a crazy amount of work, really. But it's an old sprayer. It was an old spraying rig. There's nothing up front there, maybe a tank of some sort. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they'd keep their chemicals in that right there. And then back here, they had their Volkswagen engine. We've had to rob the distributor out of it, but this engine does run and everything. The tractor runs, drives, moves, all that if you put the distributor back in it. Weird setup though. It comes out of like the transaxle here and goes down to a little gearbox. It drops down to that. A lot of work for, I mean, I don't know how much time an old farmer put into that machine, but I'm sure it saved him a lot of money, but
yeah,
a lot of time went into that. But pretty cool. He tried to make it as stylish as he could, I guess, and I don't know.
Kind of like taking a Beetle and making it into a grasshopper?
Yeah. I always thought it kind of resembled like an airplane cockpit here, like if it had wings or something. It'd be pretty neat on the ground. Here's an old 1985 Chevy C10 short bed. These old square bodies are kind of getting hard to find, and we just picked this up, what, about a month ago or so.
Yep.
Didn't have no engine or transmission in it. Hood's there in the back. Got a little damage here on the door, but you know, finding a factory short bed with a good title and not a lot of rust is kind of, they're getting more and more expensive. So we picked it up. I got a good buddy who I think is interested in this, just to fix up as he goes. Inside is just really rough shape. But These kind of used to be what me and Dad would look for when we first started our business. You could pick up these short wides for around $1,500 at the time, running, driving truck, and we'd lower them and some different wheels and tires and exhaust and flip them for $2,500 and think we were really, really doing great.
Yeah.
Bugatti kit car. It's not Volkswagen powered, which most of these are. This one here is kind of cool because it's actually set up with a little Ford Pinto. Got a little bitty V6 up front here. Don't know if it runs. We were told that it would, but we've never messed with it. All fiberglass body. It is a standard, but pretty neat little car. Is missing the top. We never got the top or anything like that with it. And a lot of these, they're Volkswagen powered, and they've got the engine here in the rear, which this has just got a little trunk compartment. Actually, the fuel tank's back in this area somewhere. So. (1960) Datsun 1200. Dad, you went and picked up this truck.
Yeah, we had to go almost all the way up to Oklahoma City to pick it up and that, and bring it back. And that, of course, I had vehicle trouble all the way up there. My truck kept cutting out on me, so it made about a 3-hour trip into about a 6-hour trip getting up there. So
I think y'all had debated on whether to turn around or keep going, and
about 2 hours out, I think we called you and said something, we were having trouble, and you said, well, if you need to, turn around and come back. But we decided to go ahead and go on through, and it just about every 30 minutes we have to stop and give it a 10-minute break, and it'd take off and go another 30 minutes. So
they prayed through, made it there safely, and picked this thing up. I don't even remember how to open the hood on it, to be honest with you. Little bitty old 4-cylinder. Got running pretty simple. I'm thinking back that wasn't the distributor cracked on it or something?
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm.
We had to fix the distributor, and I can't remember what all we did, but it didn't take much. They had this little gravity feed tiller or snowmobile tank, that's what it was, running down to it. Believe it or not though, by the end of the video, we were able to stick a bar right through that hole there, and we cranked it by hand. So it was the first one we ever started by hand that way, and cranked up pretty easy. But these little trucks, you see a lot of the old Datsun trucks, but this early body style with this cool, front end, kind of reminds me of like a Mini Cooper in a way. You don't see a lot of them, and definitely be a cool project truck for somebody. This right here is a 1959 Willys CJ3B high hood. So you'll notice it's got a lot more hood area right here than the regular Jeeps did. This one had a flat, what did it have in it?
4, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking, no, this one had, it had the valves in, one valve in the head and one valve in the block or something?
Yeah, it was weird. I can't remember how it was, but yeah, it was definitely a weird critter.
I can't remember. The valves were a little bit different. It was locked up, and we were able to get it unstuck. Just one piston was stuck, and got it up and running. The transmission was a little noisy in it, best I remember. But didn't get any further than really getting it running and driving. Never reworked any of the brakes or anything like that. But good solid bones of an early Jeep if someone's looking for a Jeep project. Here we have a 91 H1 military Hummer. It's got the diesel in it, 6.5 diesel. Runs and drives great. This was, I can't remember, this was based out of Seagoville. It was a National Guards unit, I believe it was. So it's really low mileage. I think it has around 16,000 miles on it. When I was growing up, this was always one of my dream vehicles, wanted to have a Hummer. And I've had this for about 10 years now. Recently started to lift it a little bit. I put these 40-inch tires on it, on 24-inch wheels, but was planning on, hey, I've got to lift it a little bit more, powder coat the wheels, little things like that. But it's something that I would consider selling if someone's interested. Super fun vehicle. They're low geared, they're noisy to drive, but definitely get a lot of attention.
Yeah, somebody needs to jump on it pretty quick before he decides to lower it.
Yeah. 1951 Chevy 3100, short bed truck. It is just a 3-window truck, but it's sitting on the original frame with a Nova front clip and then a Camaro rear end. Up underneath the hood, we've got just a small block carbureted 350. Nothing fancy, but last we messed with it, the truck was running great. We did have a master cylinder that went bad on it. You can see where all the fluid's been leaking out. So I know we're gonna have to put a master cylinder on it, but man, I don't know how long it's been since we've cranked this thing.
It's been a while.
I would say over a year,
yeah,
at least, maybe closer to 2.
Probably.
So there's no telling what other little kinks we might have to work out of it, but for the most part, it was very solid driving truck. The cool thing I like about it is all this rust is completely fake. So when we bought this truck, it was just solid white, shiny truck that needed a paint job. We really didn't want to go through the work of fixing everything perfect, so we decided to go with this patina paint job. So we did the logos, busted knuckle Chevrolet to try to make it look like an old service truck, and rusted the rest of it.
Yeah, this was actually what got us started in the, or at least me, in the patina craze. Now Lance was already.
Yeah, we kind of started falling in love with the patina more and more as we did this project, and finding that other people liked it as well. But like the most common comment that we get on this truck is, I love it, but I wouldn't paint it. I would leave it exactly like it is. And the funny thing is it is painted, so it's just rust paint. But inside here, the inside's pretty clean, very basic, nothing too fancy, but also nothing you have to worry about messing up if you're dirty like we normally are or whatever. So great stance, cool truck, sounds awesome. Not something we're necessarily looking to sell, but if we did, the price would probably be up there a little bit. And if you're interested, let us know. This is a 1973 Chevy Nova. I've got this car on trade, and I've actually been working on a side video that shows the process of trading up from basically nothing to this is where I'm at right now. So I don't really know what I want to value the car at. I mean, when you're trading up from nothing, it's kind of hard to do, but this thing runs and drives. It's got a small block 350 in it, 3-inch exhaust. Does have some rust back here on the quarter panels on both sides, but overall it's got the cowl hood, got a pretty cool look to it.
Are you looking to sell or trade?
This one here, I mean, I look at it as far as if you want to trade me cash, I'll trade for cash, and I'll take that cash and trade it for something else. So I guess this car is for trade, but you know, if you trade me cash, I'm going to trade it for something else. So we'll see how that goes. So if anyone's interested in this, let me know what you want to trade and not what you want to buy it for. Now this right here is a 1964.5 Mustang. And Christian actually lucked into buying this one here. So we picked this up in Durant, Oklahoma. I had bought several things from the gentleman that we got this car from, but he had this car sitting out there and Christian fell in love with it. It's got a 289 up front, automatic, pretty clean interior in here. But you and Christian messed with it some, what all?
Yeah, we had to, it had a little bit of carburetor problem, so just bought a new carburetor and put on it. The carburetor that was on it looked brand new, but it just, we just had issues with it. And then we had to move a little bit of the transmission lines because they were hanging down a little low. But other than that,
I think they put new tires on it. It's got a little bit of rust through here on on the quarter panels, pretty common spot. But I mean, really straight car. I don't think she's looking to sell this.
It's got the air, under dash air in it now,
yeah.
so yeah. That was something she was excited about.
Yep. Yeah, in Texas, you gotta have that AC.
Yep.
And this right here is probably gonna be our fan favorite. This is a 2012 Dodge Caravan, I think. We filmed with this rig, so we bought it strictly for that. I found it on Marketplace really cheap, and I felt like it was gonna be really ragged out, but we were okay with that. We just needed something to Christian to be in the back to film with. But it's turned out to be a really great van, and that's how we do. I mean, we get her back here strapped in, and we film our driving shots. And believe it or not, of all these cars you're seeing out here, we had a gentleman stop one day and he wanted to know how much for this, so.
Yeah, he looked the whole lot over. This is what he wanted to know, what we wanted for it, so.
So, 2012 Dodge Caravan, I guess she's for sale if you're that guy still looking. We'll probably let her go. This is a 1966 Volkswagen Beetle. We call Herb 2.0. So any of you Volkswagen fans out there is probably looking at the front of this saying, it's not a 66. But what we did is we went with earlier fenders, hood, apron, headlights, changed all that to resemble the movie car, which was a 63. So we have a full video on our channel of doing the build on this car, reworking the engine, lowering it, different panels on it, paint job, the whole 9 yards. So if you guys haven't seen that, be sure to check it out. Probably one of my top favorite videos. 1972 Pontiac Lemans.
Lemans, yep.
One owner car. We found this in a barn that was literally falling in on it.
Yeah.
This is all original paint that we had cleaned up on it. Has a 350 in it. We didn't do a lot to get it up and running. I think it was basically the tune-up stuff, typical tune-up stuff.
Just cleaning it off. It was piled.
Yeah, it had a big rat's nest on top of it. Went with these wheels. I think they were like staggered 18s or something. But yeah, it ran great. It's got this old vinyl top with these really weird porthole windows in the quarter panel there. But I don't know if we'll ever come across, you know, like another barn find that was as cool as this one, you know, like
right.
It was like literally time was not on its side when we found this car, so.
I mean, it had the original plastic that went over the back seat.
Yeah, it's still on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even taken that off, so it still has original plastic on the back seat. But super cool family we got to meet on that. Nice story that they had behind it, and we were glad that we had the opportunity to go ahead and rescue this one here. This is a 1976 AMC Pacer. Also might be recognized as a Wayne's World car. I found this on Craigslist several years on back, and ended up trading it for a little bit of body work at the time. So we did something on the gentleman's car and got this in exchange. It's got the little inline 6-cylinder up front. Was running and driving great, but the old tank just from gas setting in it, you know, it started getting a little trash in it. But these things are cool. They got so much glass in them.
Yep.
People call them like a fishbowl, and he even got little Nemo back in the back there to represent that. But pretty stinking straight for, you know, an AMC Pacer that really hasn't been worked on much, you know. We've had other ones on the channel that were a lot rougher, but this one right here, it's a pretty good one.
And it was known as the ugly car of its day, which it hadn't changed much, but they've just become popular.
Yeah. So this Frankenstein was a 77 Toyota. That's what it was started its life as. They got the dual axle set up back here, which is what caught my attention when I found it. The guy wasn't asking much at all for it on Marketplace, so we bought it and talked him into delivering it down to us. Once it showed up, we were kind of glad. He wasn't asking much at all. This thing is so rusted out.
I think we paid more for the rust than we did for the truck.
I feel like it's even rusted out more than we did a video. So we did a video, got this thing running, did a pretty sweet little burnout, and actually runs pretty good, but she is ugly. And like Dad said before, I'm not sure if the paint and the stickers ain't what's all left of holding her together. This is my 1997 two-door Tahoe, and wasn't my first vehicle ever, but it was basically my first vehicle that ran well enough that I could keep long enough to take me places. I drove this all through college in Wyoming, and then up in California I drove it, then got back and decided to bag it. So this is the first vehicle I ever tried to do an air ride on. What's crazy is back then, I was like, man, I wish it was a four-door because it's more room. And now the two-doors obviously are just, you know, that's where the money's at. There's a crazy market on these two-door Tahoes right now. Original engine, back here you can see the notches there where I'd done the air ride on it. Tank's just sitting there. Gas tank's just sitting here. Last time I tried to crank it, the fuel pump was, you know, shot on it, so all that needs to be put back together. But where all this is cut out, when I was driving it back and forth to work and it was raining, I would literally get outside of work sometimes, open my door, and water would gush out. So I had to put a tarp back in there one time. It was basically what you would expect of a 17, 18-year-old kid trying to hop up his vehicle and willing to suffer the consequences. Got another hearse here, which is by far my favorite. 1963 Cadillac hearse. When we bought the car, it was just a roller, no engine, no transmission, no nothing. We decided we'd go ahead and do a build on it. So up under the hood, we put a 12-valve Cummins diesel. So we stuffed that diesel in there. We did full air ride on it, functioning roof props, logos, all that stuff in around like 70 days, trying to get ready for the Lone Star Throwdown. And we made it there, and everything pretty much worked for the most part. We had a couple hiccups, but definitely a fun learning experience building this car. Now up front here, this is actually a flamethrower. And when we built it, we had tested it out a couple times and it shoot about 3 or 4 foot flame. When we got out there, something changed on our calculations and it would shoot probably a 15 to 20 foot flame out there. I mean, you could feel the heat off of it. So we were very impressed with how that was working. You could crank this car up, shoot the black smoke out, and then do the fire, and then the crowd would just flock around. So definitely one of the top attention getters we have around the shop. And
right,
I mean,
even down there, it was an attention getter. We made front page of the paper.
Yeah,
so.
Somehow we made front page of the Conroe paper with this old patinaed out Ecto. So we had some slime in here. These light up and can display whatever you want to say on there. Fog come out here. We got our compressors. All these tanks are functional for the air ride. But yeah, we just kind of started grabbing stuff around the shop that we felt like would make cool props and went from there. But once again, left a patina, love that. Definitely probably one of my favorite builds. And it would be so hard for me to put a number on this thing, so we're just gonna say not for sale. This one here is also a 63 model. It is a 15 window Volkswagen bus. So my cousin found this van pretty local. We went out there and checked it out and had to kind of basically dig it out of the woods. I think there was just a couple small trees we had to cut, but not like our typical rescue. Didn't have no engine in it or anything like that. But since then, we've bought an old Super Beetle and pulled the engine out, and we've got an engine ready to go in this. We've also got a 23 window roof skin we're going to put on here. So this roof is all rusted out. And this side's the better side.
Yeah.
We're rusted out all up front here. And the door literally just fell off out there when we were rescuing it from the woods. So we've got some rust in this pillar, but we've got a ton of sheet metal parts we're going to throw on this once we get the engine in there and make it drivable again. 1967 Mercury commuter station wagon. We found this, I believe it was in Gilmer, Texas. We went out there and found a first generation Bronco that we bought, and they also had this sitting out back, so we ended up buying the Bronco, and we went back later and picked this up. We did a live video on this, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So we did a live will it run. We brought it in the shop. I think it also had a huge rat's nest up underneath the hood, but we did get it running and everything. It needs to go through there, new brakes, all that stuff, but pretty cool old car, and it's very solid. It was actually, I thought the plate was still on it, but it was actually way up north at some point in
Alaska.
time. Yeah, it was up in Alaska. So it's kind of a miracle that this thing is in as good shape as it is sheet metal wise. Pretty cool old car though, especially if you're into wagons. I think this one's got a pretty cool look to it.
Yeah, it's also got the fold away seats in the back there that kind of hide away, so.
Yep. This is a 1973 CJ5 Jeep. Does have the factory 304 V8 engine in it. We had put this new HEI distributor on it. This was the first time that we ever tried to do an ASMR video on our channel, so if you don't know what that is, it's basically just a video where there's absolutely no talking, it's just us working with the sounds of working. And we weren't really sure how well that would go over, but most of the time they've done pretty well for us, so occasionally we pop up an ASMR video. But what grabbed my attention on this is when I was growing up, I had a 75 CJ5, which actually was, you know, Dad's Jeep. He bought it. I don't know where you found it or... Somewhere
up in Paris, a guy that your mom worked with had it for sale. I could get $1,500, $1,200 for it, but it was a nice Jeep at that point, so. So
he had that Jeep, and it had the same 304 in it, and he gave it to me, and I was out riding around in it, and I ended up wrecking it into a tree and bending the frame on it, so I had to sell it. And, I really had put a lot of work into that Jeep before that happened, so I always wanted to try to get another CJ5 and fix it up and have something where I could kind of flash back to my childhood just a bit. '70 Ford Bronco. This is the U14, so they had the U13, the U14, and the U15 Broncos. The U14 is going to be the half cab here, so it didn't have the full cab on it. U13 was just a roadster with no cab, no doors, and the U15 was obviously the full cab ones there. Early Broncos right now, the market is just stupid crazy on it, so when we find them, we try to buy them up. This one here actually got a little V6 in it, and I tinkered around with it one evening and got it to fire up. I had to put a solenoid on it and cool stuff like that, but most people probably wouldn't want to leave that in there, but it does run. Never tried to see if she'd move or not. But if you're looking for an early Bronco, I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, you can replace the flooring.
Yeah. New floorboards in it. But it's a good start to something. It's got a good frame up underneath it. Body's decent. It is for sale if anyone's interested. And I had mentioned earlier about that 56 Dodge being the rarest postal vehicle we got. And then I thought of this one, which wasn't necessarily a postal vehicle. It is left-hand drive, but an extremely rare step van. I know that they did use this for in the postal business. They also used them for like laundry trucks, just stuff like that, you know, delivery style vehicles. We found this at Sunset, Texas at the Brown's salvage yard. So we bought this off of Trenton Brown, and believe it or not, we got it up and running and driving. But it's, man, super cool. It's got that really short front end there, and the body would have been like they merged with Divco, and so it has the Divco like milk truck body on it. But man, this is a rare truck. It's got some rust on it here and there.
I think this particular year, there was only like 100 of them made.
Yeah, from what we gathered, they only made 100 in 1940. We've seen the next body style that's got a completely different front end. I've seen a couple of them, but I'm not so sure that this isn't the only one left in existence of those 100, because we've yet to find another one or even a lead on where another possible one might be. Another 1963 FJ3 Fleet van that somehow escaped the punishment of being crushed. As I said, they are really rare, but we've found a few of them. So we've actually sold a few of them, and we've got some still here. This one here, someone had put a 350 in it at some point in time. And when I bought this, I knew it had a 350 in it, but I thought it was all together. And then when it showed up, you know, the whole top half was gone off of it. So that was a little bit disappointing, but this would be a cool one to try to, you know, put another 350 in it or something and get it up and going. I can't imagine what that'd be like driving down the road.
Yeah, I don't know.
But some of these you stood up in, you know, basically as you drove, but this one you pretty much do.
Yeah.
I mean,
even
there's
sitting down, you're almost standing up.
Yeah. But pretty stinking cool. Once again, this was right-hand drive. They did make left-hand drive ones. They were a little bit longer, but all these right-hand drive ones, as far as I know, they were used for the postal service.
That's what it looks like up here. It said U.S. Mail.
Oh, yeah. A three-winded 1948 Dodge short bus. Probably the coolest patina on the short buses that we have by any means. This one has a flathead 6-cylinder in it. I think it was missing parts. Maybe not. Maybe it was just that the spark plugs were so rusted off. It scared me of messing with it. So, fairly complete, but I would never try to get that up and running. I'd like to just go ahead and switch out the drivetrain and put it on something a little bit more modern. I don't think you're going to find a cooler colored bus than this one right here. Sheet metal wise, pretty good shape. Once again, some cool wheel wells on it. Can't really see Scurry.
Rosser
High School. We found the bus in Texas, but I don't know if it's actually a Texas bus or what state it originally started in, but super cool bus. I can't remember exactly what year this old P30 is. I'm wanting to say 62, 63. We found this at the Hudson Farm. It was an old peanut van, wasn't it?
I think so.
I was thinking on one side it said something about
Tom's Peanuts.
Tom's Peanuts, yeah. So yeah, it was an old Tom's Peanut truck. We had to work a little bit to get this thing out of the woods. We cut down quite a bit of limbs, and it was pretty heavy trying to yank it up out of there, but we got her to the shop. Haven't really messed with it since then. The P10s are super popular. P30s are just a little bit too big for what people are doing with them. But if you're looking for a P10 and can't find one, you can pick up a P30 pretty cheap. This right here is a 1948 Ford Vanette step van. I've never been super crazy about the old Ford vans, but we bought this one with a group of rancheros on a Turn and Rust video that we put out not too long ago. Basically on the story we got on it is it was a running and driving van. They had it up in California. There's the old plate still on it. They drove it all the way from California down here to Texas and set it on blocks back, I don't remember, do you remember when they said?
I don't remember, I just remember they said that.
Maybe in the 70s.
Yeah.
and it's sat there ever since. So it does have the stove in it, the sink, bed in the back, paneling and carpet everywhere.
She said her uncle actually lived in it for a little while.
Yeah, so another one that someone was living in. I think it would run. It's just been setting up. Just have to dig into it and see what kinks need to be worked out to get it back on the road again. 1950-ish cab over, another one. Can't even remember where we found. Oh, I found this one. I made a post looking to buy vehicles just on my Facebook, and someone reached out with this one. They knew where it was. Another one we had Sean Cross pick up for us. Pretty good bones, little rust there. I'm sure the cab corners. Oh, that one's solid. Big old flatbed on this thing here though. And from what I can remember, it had a motor and transmission in it, but for some reason the drive shaft was pulled off of it. But cab overs aren't that easy to find.
No, and when you do find them, they're pretty rough shape.
Yeah. So once again, y'all have seen a few cab overs on this video. If you're in the market, if you're looking for one, first come, first serve. So let us know what you're interested in, and maybe we can work a deal on them. This old Plymouth Duster, we picked up pretty cheap. I don't remember exactly what year it is. Still has a little decal on it right there. Yep. This side has a lot of paint still left on it. And this side's halfway. The rest of it's faded out pretty bad. But it's got that old slant 6 in it. And judging by that, she's probably locked up solid.
I was fixing to say probably full of water, so
we've talked about trying to tear this one apart to see if we can get it up and running. So if you guys would like to see that on the channel, or if you're interested in the car, let us know. Inside here, still got a lot of old debris from the farm it was drug off of. But we didn't actually find this car and dig it out of the woods. We bought this from a gentleman that did the hard work for us, and he brought it down. I do have the hood for it, and it's sitting off to the side. But for somebody that's looking for a little Duster, I mean, body-wise, it's pretty good shape. And most of the time, you'd be yanking that old engine out anyways.
Right.
We've got an old Citroen, I believe if I'm pronouncing that correct, which half the stuff on this video I probably haven't pronounced correct anyways. This is going to be a future Will It Run video. We bought this car, had it delivered down here, so we don't have a lot of backstory other than what they were told about it. Really strange car, and from what I've studied up on them, mechanical wise, it's pretty weird too. Don't want to give away too much on the car, but just kind of giving you a once over. The back end of the car is actually in the car, and when it showed up without that, I was kind of scared because that's not how I saw the car in the pictures, but I guess that's how you actually get to the wheels to take them off and everything. But I'm looking through there, whatever that is extremely rusty back there too.
yeah.
So we'll just dig in together. This is going to be a video pretty soon, so hopefully you guys will be interested in watching that. I definitely think it's going to be a fun one. 1946-ish International KB3 we rescued from the Hudson farm. We tried to get that truck up and running for them, but it had a cracked block. Yeah, so we kind of stopped there. So need to get that one brought back out to them. This is the old Saab that we cut out of the woods. Had the huge tree grown into the bumper right here. Really strange V4 up front. We messed with trying to get that car running, and never did on the video, but then afterwards we kind of messed with it a little bit more and got it to try on us. But had the tree growing in up here, had the tree back here. Rough little car once we got it home, but nonetheless it was fun cutting it out and being able to show that video. Here's a couple of these Rancheros I was mentioning earlier. Basically parts cars. We sold the better of them. I can't remember, one of the two has a pretty big dent on the
back there.
Back, yeah, so pretty much parts cars. If you're looking for these 60s Rancheros, there's a couple right here. Over here we've got this 68 GMC, kind of hard to see, but it is a short fleet side truck. I want to try to drop something in there as far as the engine and transmission, kind of leave the patina. It's got a pretty cool look to it there. Another cab over we've got up here on the bed of this truck. Now this is a 54 Chevy, so it's got the solid windshield, a little bit different front grille on it. And we actually bought this old, I think it's a 82, 83 Chevy dually truck with it. That's the only way he would sell it. So we bought this in with it. So it's got a 350 up front there, supposed to run, but another cab over, and I believe the last of the cab overs we've got around the shop. Now out back here we've got a few more vehicles. This is an old 63 International Scout 80. Very first video we did on our restored channel. And it's sad seeing it like this. But I must tell you, it hasn't been sitting out here as long as it looks. These old vines have just taken over crazy fast. So we're hoping this winter we can get out here, cut all that stuff back, and be able to get that side exposed more. We got this thing up and running. It's got a weird little engine in it. So it's actually got like a slant 4, I guess. It's like half of a V8. And even on the distributor, it's got a V8 distributor, and they skipped every other wire. So that was my first time ever seeing an engine like that. But we got it running fairly easy. And patina on it's great, sheet metal on it's great. I don't think you ever got to drive it, did you?
No, I don't think I did.
But I would love to go ahead and take this one of these days and just try to fix it up, you know, lift it some maybe. I don't know, do some kind of a build around it, just being that it was the first video we did on the channel. I definitely think it deserves some more attention. 1967 Galaxy 500. Another purchase from the Hudson farm. Looking at the car, it was up underneath the barn, and it looks to be in really good shape, and it is. I mean, body-wise, good shape. Interior-wise, great shape. But up underneath it, the frame is terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty much it kind of just started breaking in half when we were trying to pull it out. But
yeah, that's Connecticut car. That's what it shows on the tag. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, they come up north and it's rusted up bad. I had my truck trying to yank it out, and then we got Sam with the tractor, and he tried to yank it out. Finally got it out a little ways where we could winch it on the trailer, but man, this thing was a nightmare trying to load up. And afterwards we were kind of questioning why we bought it, but did sell this one, so the guy's going to come and pick it up. Like I said, it's great for if you're needing body panels or parts, interior parts, whatever it may be. It's got a lot of good parts on it, but the frame is gone. Another 1974 Volkswagen thing. We did a video or two on this car when we bought it. I can't remember, they had an engine in it, didn't it? But it was partially disassembled.
Right.
So it was disassembled, and we had another motor we put in it. I honestly can't even remember what it was.
It was one that they had bought to put in it.
Dual port. So we put that dual port in it, and we were able to run or drive this thing down the road. Didn't have any brakes but the handbrake. But most of the time these Volkswagen things, real rusted out. I mean, you've seen one back there that's really rusted out, but for the majority there is still some rust on for common places on these. But this one's, it's pretty solid. It's pretty good shape. So that one I would love to try to do something with. Really cool car that you don't find a whole lot of. This old Fiero right here, we haven't got to make a lot of headway on making the video on it, but I found it on Marketplace, and you notice it's on a boat trailer, and that's because it's a boat. Somebody has put this body on that boat with a 70 horsepower Johnson. And we're not sure if this thing's gonna run or float or what, but be looking for this video in the future. I definitely think that's gonna be a fun one. 19, I believe, 52, 53 Ford panel van. The guy we bought it from had set it on like a, I believe it's like a GMC Canyon, the little small trucks like the S10s or whatever. So it was a running and driving truck. I think it has like a fuel injected V6 up front, but Dad really liked this truck. I never was super crazy about it. This old Rambler we picked up from the Hudson farm. It was out in a pasture with grass almost as tall as Dad.
Yeah.
We got it back. It had a huge rat's nest up underneath the hood. Try to show you guys. So now we got all that cleaned out. We had to literally break a piston out of this trying to get it to turn over. But we broke the piston out. Dad somehow managed to find another part to put back in it, got that thing up and running, and she ran pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
We kind of reached that point to where we had nothing to lose, and it paid off. So we were able to get it running and actually make it down to the other shop. This old Plymouth Valiant right here looks like a pretty straight car, but when you check out over here on the passenger side or the driver's side, it got T-boned pretty stinking hard. So this is another one we were able to get running from the Hudson farm. We actually drove it from their place down here to the shop and made it. We had a little bit of overheating issues, but after it was all said and done, we made it, and that car's here now. This old Opel, most of y'all will probably recognize, as it was a car that really helped put Turnin Rust on the map. Among the first of the Will It Run videos we did, and this video just went viral. So I think it has like 32 million views on it now. We actually sold the car before it went viral and kind of regretted that we got rid of it, and found it almost like a year later pretty much in the same condition that we let it go of. So we felt like we had to have it back, so we got the, you know, the famous Opel back here at the shop. So this is definitely one we want to hang on to and do something with in the future. This is another old Volkswagen spray coupe. Kind of looks like an old bathtub or something. Back here, it has the Volkswagen engine in it still. Very similar type of setup as that one we saw out front that had the Volkswagen cab narrowed in, but supposedly we're supposed to run. Basically bought this really cheap and was planning on using the motor. Over there we've got, I believe it was a 72 Ford wagon. We bought that. We did a live video on that car, got it up and running. And then on the other side of that, we've got a Datsun pickup. I believe it was a 77 that we cut out of the woods at the Hudson farm. So trees have pretty much just devoured that truck. Took a lot of work to get it cut out. Took a lot of work and time to get that old thing cut out, but eventually we finally got it back to the shop. So that's pretty much going to wrap up most of the inventory that we have outside of the shop. There's still a bunch of stuff out there on that slab that we just can't get to show you. And we've got a ton of stuff inside that is still kind of under wraps. So we do have the Vonnie inside. We do have the old BMW Isetta that we rescued out of the woods. We've got a really cool Volkswagen thing inside there as well. And also a one-of-a-kind custom coffin car. We've got the 1952 GMC that we call Fancy that we're going to pick back up on our Turnin Rust channel, as well as an old 1963 Volkswagen Beetle that we started stuffing a Jaguar V12 into. There's an old rat rod Jeep in there that me and Dad had started building about 15 years on back, as well as still another Willys FJ3 mail van. So as you guys can tell, we definitely have our handful of projects around the shop. But keep in mind, me and Dad have been collecting this stuff for around 7 or 8 years now, and sometimes when you come across the right deal and the money's right, you just got to jump on it while you got the chance. So a lot of this stuff we can definitely turn loose of to make a little bit more headway on the projects that we want to finish. With that being said, if you guys are interested, be sure that you reach out to the email that we listed below, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and we'll see you on the next one.